The controversial film of Good Report is premiering in Durban today. The Film and Publications Board has overturned its decision to ban the movie after an appeal from the film's producer. The movie highlights the relationship between a teacher and an underage pupil. It was meant to open the Durban International Film Festival, but was banned on the eve of the premiere. The board initially ruled the movie contained scenes of child pornography. Now, one of the associate producers of this film, Firdoze Bulbulia, joins us in studio now. Firdoze, welcome. Are you happy that you have been vindicated?
Absolutely. This was really, I think, not just happy for us as filmmakers, but really for the country. We have a constitution that is alive. We have a democracy that is wonderful. And so this whole process was tedious, was necessary probably because it brought up the debate. But yes, we are relieved.
Have you been in contact with the directors of the movie, and what is the mood like in Durban, of course, after the initial letdown of not being able to premiere at the opening at the Durban International Film Festival?
Jamil Kubeka is the director. We are the associate producers. I've worked with Jamil on a previous film, so we've worked together for at least 5-6 years now. He's elated, of course, as somebody who's worked tirelessly on a product for 2 years without being paid. You know, what people forget is the process of storytelling, of filmmaking, of creativity. You're almost shut in yourself for 2 years, and all you're doing is creating something amazing. And then to be told at the end of this whole long, tedious process, sorry, we're not showing this, that I think is, you know, just hits you right in the belly. And part of this debate and discussion that was out there, I was just trying to make people realize that we're forgetting the person who has created the story. Whilst we talk in the bigger picture of child pornography, and as we just discussed now, I do chair the Children's Broadcasting Foundation for Africa. So issues around child pornography are very important to us.
Well, let's talk about that. You do chair the Children and Broadcasting Foundation for Africa. Issues of child pornography and how children are represented in media are things that you're quite aware of and deal with on quite a regular basis. How then does this speak to your understanding of the Film and Publication Board's decision to not classify this movie? Was this ever explained to you in terms that you understand? Because the general sense from critics of the decision is that it was unwarranted and heavy-handed.
I think it was heavy-handed. I think the panel that sat watched 28 minutes of the film, and after 28 minutes, as soon as they saw a scene that they assumed was child pornography, they stopped watching the film. Now, we are told that that's in the act and that's the way you behave, but I think there needs to be a context, and we need to be much more nuanced in the way that we read film, especially when you're being critical about something. If you're critiquing it, give it its full benefit of the doubt. Go through the entire process, watch the entire film. Personally, I have to say that as the chair of the Children's Broadcasting Foundation for Africa, it was important to me to be able to say, yes, this is something that we can show to the public, and these are issues that need to come up. I also think what people don't understand is that the film was shown within the context of a film festival. By its nature, it pushes the boundaries. Absolutely. By its nature, you have a specific kind of audience that go there. We're not saying this is a children's film. We're not saying show it on television during children's peak time. So all of these have not been considered in the discussion.
Let's talk about the publicity that the movie has received. Was it good, or has it, in the end, despite the disappointment, actually benefited the film? Has it drummed up the kind of interest that perhaps it may not have received with an ordinary release?
I think, you know what they say, all publicity is good publicity.
Yes.
There has been a lot of debate. This thing went viral, you know, in the Twitter world that we live in, and the Facebook and the social media world. Everybody all over the world has responded to it, and there have been very, very good responses. People have been very positive. People are concerned around issues of banning. You're concerned that after 1994, this is the first film that gets banned, and it's by a black African, South African storyteller. So I think all these issues are quite compounded, and they're quite politicized in that process. But we also have to look at it critically from a creative perspective. This is a story that needs to be told because the issues take place within a South African context. We might not like it. And as Jamil's wife, who is a medical doctor, says, that you might not want to show it, doesn't mean that because you're not showing it that these things are not happening. These things are happening. How do we talk about it? Creatives do that by showing us as society. They put a mirror up to us and they say, this is what's happening. You tell it in a way in which you step back and you're telling the story. And I think people have lost sight of that. So when you talk about what is the debate caused, I think what it's done is it's allowed South Africans to speak again, very importantly, on all sides, every angle. I mean, I've heard people saying, you know, good things and bad things. And I was contextualizing myself because in 1980, I was detained during the school boycotts. And somebody was like, who is that woman? Who cares about her scars of apartheid?
Yes.
So it's so interesting that we are still, I think, unfortunately, in the South African context, so polarized. We're so in these little compartments and these little boxes that people cannot see the bigger picture. But I think the appeal has made us look at the bigger picture. And so that's a good thing. I'm sorry. I think that's a good thing, where it gets South Africans to really begin to debate and talk about issues that are important.
Well, speaking of the bigger picture, will it get us a national release at this stage? Because we have been debating, but we have not actually seen the film. Will the movie get a national release?
Well, it shows today in Durban, and I'm told by the directors that, and it's actually a director, Jamil Kubek is the director, that he is in discussion now about a national release. So hopefully South Africans will see the film.
Well, fantastic. We look forward to that. In fact, we look forward to finally making up our own minds about the film as well. So that was a film producer, Firdoze Bulbulia, joining us in studio.
News that moves. eNCA.com.